Arthur Conan Doyle was a man who loved to write stories. He was born in Scotland in 1859, and from a young age, he enjoyed reading and dreaming up exciting adventures. His best-known creation is Sherlock Holmes, a detective who can solve even the most difficult mysteries. But Arthur's life was full of many interesting experiences, both before and after he became famous. Arthur Conan Doyle first became interested in writing while he was a student at a school in Edinburgh. As a child, he liked to read books about heroes and great adventures. These stories inspired him to imagine his own characters. However, he did not only want to be a writer when he was young. At one point, he thought about becoming a doctor, and he studied medicine at a university in Edinburgh. He worked hard at school and soon became a doctor. But even though he had learned a lot about medicine, Arthur's true passion was still writing. After finishing his studies, Arthur Conan Doyle moved to a small town called Plymouth in England, where he worked as a doctor. He treated patients, but at the same time, he wrote stories in his free time. He soon realized that writing was his real love, so he decided to focus on it more. At first, he didn't make much money from his writing, but Arthur didn't give up. He kept working hard to write better stories. His first big success came with a story about a man named Sherlock Holmes. Holmes was a detective who used his sharp mind to solve crimes that nobody else could. Sherlock was clever and observant. He noticed small details that others missed, and this helped him solve mysteries. In the first story, called A Study in Scarlet, Holmes worked with his friend, Dr. Watson, to solve a murder mystery. The story became very popular, and people wanted to read more about Sherlock Holmes. After the success of this first story, Arthur Conan Doyle wrote many more adventures for his famous detective. Some of these stories include The Sign of the Four, The Hound of the Baskervilles, and The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Readers loved these stories because they were exciting and full of surprises. They also admired Sherlock Holmes' ability to solve difficult problems in clever ways. Readers also liked Dr. Watson, who was always there to help Sherlock and tell the stories of their adventures. The character of Sherlock Holmes became very famous, and people all over the world wanted to read more about him. Arthur Conan Doyle wrote many stories, but he was also sometimes tired of writing about Sherlock Holmes. After a while, he decided that he wanted to move on and write other types of stories. So, in 1893, he wrote a story in which Sherlock Holmes seemed to die. This upset many readers who loved the detective. However, the public wanted more, and Arthur eventually brought Sherlock Holmes back in another story. While Arthur Conan Doyle is best known for creating Sherlock Holmes, he wrote many other stories in different genres. He wrote historical novels, science fiction, and even stories about his adventures as a doctor. He also wrote books about the supernatural and spiritualism. Arthur was very interested in life after death, and he spent a lot of time learning about ghosts and spirits. Some of his books, like The Captain of the Pole Star and The White Company, were set in the past and told stories of adventure and mystery. These books were also loved by readers. Throughout his life, Arthur Conan Doyle went on many adventures. He traveled to many places around the world, including the United States, Africa, and India. These travels gave him new ideas for his stories. He often wrote about characters who had exciting adventures in faraway places. But even though he traveled the world, Arthur Conan Doyle always returned to his writing. His stories were published in newspapers and books, and he became a very successful author. One of the interesting things about Arthur Conan Doyle was that he did not just write stories for entertainment. He was also involved in politics and social issues. He believed in justice and fairness, and he used his writing to talk about important issues. For example, in one of his books, he wrote about a man who was wrongly accused of a crime and tried to prove his innocence. Arthur believed in helping others, and he used his stories to bring attention to problems in the world. Even though Arthur Conan Doyle was famous for his detective stories, he was not always happy with the way people saw him. Many people only remembered him as the man who created Sherlock Holmes. But Arthur was much more than that. He wrote about many different topics and had a wide range of interests. He was a man who loved to learn and explore new ideas. His love for writing and adventure made him a well-known and respected author around the world. In the end, Arthur Conan Doyle's stories left a big mark on the world of literature. He created characters like Sherlock Holmes who will be remembered for many years to come. His books have been translated into many languages, and new generations of readers still enjoy his works today. The Sherlock Holmes stories are not only loved by people in England, but also by readers from every part of the world. These stories have been made into many movies, TV shows, and plays, which shows how much people still enjoy them. Arthur Conan Doyle passed away in 1930, but his legacy continues. He is remembered as one of the greatest writers of detective fiction. His creation of Sherlock Holmes changed the world of mystery writing forever. Today, we can still enjoy his stories, and his characters continue to inspire new writers. Through his books, Arthur Conan Doyle will always be a part of the world of literature. Even though he is no longer with us, his stories still make us think, wonder, and enjoy the exciting adventures of Sherlock Holmes and his friends.